My name's Trevor Hamey. I was born in Brisbane in 1940, and I'd like to tell you some of my recollections of my boyhood up in Caloundra when visiting on holiday. We first came here in 1947, and Mum with my grandmother and other two brothers, younger brothers, and we rented a house just on the on the western side of Bulcock Street, below Henzells, and we were there for a week. But the first morning we woke up from an overnight sleep, we found we had all these little bumps and we were scratching like mad. And we found that there was lice in the bed. So up to Henzells, Mum trooped and got something there to get rid of the lice that we experienced. But the next year, 1948, Mum and Dad were able to buy a tent, 12 by 12 in imperial measurement, and we were able to get the gear up here via Maloney's barge, and we camped in a lady's backyard, Mrs Crookson, in Gay Tce, right next to Strathallen. Strathallen had many campers there too at that time, and Mrs Crookson had 6 campers, that included ourselves. Now, to get the gear up here, we didn't have a car, and my dad worked at a ply mill, and they used to get logs carried from the wharf to the mill by the Palmer brothers. And Dad knew the Palmer brothers, and he was able to talk to them. Could you pick up our camping gear and take it down to Maloney's wharf down the river, and they'd pick it up again when it got back there after holiday. We spent 1948 and 1949 in Mrs Crookson's yard. And when we turned up in 1950, Mrs Crookson greeted us and said, "I'm sorry, I can't accommodate you. Council has restricted me to 2 campers, and I've already got 2 campers in, and I didn't know where to contact you." And of course, we didn't have a phone in those days. So, fortunately, Maloney's driver, the driver of the old Thornycroft truck, had our gear on, and he was married to Mum's cousin, Beryl Palmer, whose knee was Geritz. So he said to Mum and Dad, "Arch Myrtle," he said, "I can take you to a great spot, Moffat Beach, you won't be disappointed." So he took us down to Moffat Beach in 1950. In 1951 we came up again, same mode, but to get here too, of course, having no car, we had to catch the train from Roma Street, and we got off at Landsborough. We got on that articulated bus which brought us across from Landsborough over to Caloundra, and then we'd walk down to Maloney's depot and get on the truck and to our destination. A year later, after that, about 52 I think it was, my Dad's sister came from the west out of Morven and Cleveland, and they had a little Fordson panel van, flat out at 30 mile an hour, little 10 horsepower thing. Anyway, at that time too, Mum had Cocker Spaniel dogs, and one was expecting pups. We camped that night, and guess what? When we woke up in the morning, our female dog, she had 6 pups. Now, what do you do with a bitch with 6 pups, and you're in a camping ground? So Dad had to fence off a little area. We were a little bit worried that the ranger might have something to say. So we sort of tried to seclude it. But it didn't take long for the kids around the camping ground to find that there was a mummy pup dog with puppies. Fortunately, the ranger didn't worry us. And the female dog, she was a very calm and placid dog and didn't worry about anyone picking up her pups. We had a great time there by the little lake, and also my dad, 2 fellow workers from the same ply mill that he worked, they used to come to Caloundra too. One took the top left-hand flat in Lakeside, and the other took the bottom right-hand flat in Lakeside, and we were able to pal up there and have conversations and do things. Well, one thing I do vividly remember too, walking up the beach towards Curramundi one afternoon, and they had that Wirraway on patrol, and the Wirraway went north and it didn't come back as usual. And I said to Mum and Dad, "That plane hasn't come back over on its way south again." And Dad sort of, I think it made an explanation, it's probably just gone back over the backwoods, and we haven't seen it. But getting back to the campground, we found that it had crashed on Maroochydore Beach and killing some people.